Direct News TV. One decision altered the course of our life, says wife of man who was struck by alleged drunk driver in Toronto. Nearly 2 weeks after he was struck by an alleged drunk driver while working on a construction site on Allen Road, Graham Reed was back in the operating room for the third time. His wife Taylor said doctors were repairing fractures on his right knee and fibular head and the 4 damaged ligaments. They are some of the multiple injuries her husband sustained in the February 10 collision. Reed also suffered 5 broken ribs, a lumbar spine fracture, punctured lungs, multiple pelvis fractures, hip fracture as well as a concussion and an eye wound. These surgeries are what's getting us like out of the woods of clearing his fractures, Taylor said. It is unclear how many more surgeries her husband needs to go through, but what Taylor knows is that it will be a long road to recovery. "I'm just really angry," Taylor said in an interview with This Week. The driver took away his livelihood, his dignity, his value of life. The couple, who met on a dating app in 2019, just got married 6 months ago in Nova Scotia. They live in Bowmanville with their 2 Pomeranian dogs. "One decision altered the course of our life. That's all it took, one decision. And now we have to live with the decision and cope with the decision that someone else made and impacted on our lives," she added. According to Toronto police, Reed, who is a labor foreman for Elliston, was working on the left shoulder of Allen Road in a designated construction area between the Glencairn Avenue and Viewmount Avenue overpasses at around 12:30 a.m. when he was struck by a 2009 Volvo XC90. Police said the 35-year-old driver lost control and hit Reed before striking a snowbank that caused his vehicle to flip. He was arrested at the scene and is facing impaired driving charges. Meanwhile, Reed was rushed to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. Before paramedics arrived, Taylor said her husband's coworker kept him awake and held his hand. She was also thankful to the tow truck driver who called 911. Reed was in intensive care for 6 days before being moved to the trauma wing. "There's a lot of heartbreaking things about this, but the guy who did this was home in his own bed the same day. They pressed charges against him. I was told, based on his previous history, they released him," said Taylor, who was choking up as she spoke. "To think that I almost lost my husband, and this man is at home, and it was all his decision to do this." The driver is scheduled to appear in court on March 29. Taylor said the incident was completely avoidable given the number of options available for people who had been drinking to get home safely. Now their lives have been changed forever. Her husband, who was very active prior to the crash playing football and hockey, has to learn how to walk again. "We don't know what the future holds in terms of what he's going to be able to do for work," Taylor said, adding that their home needs to be remodeled to accommodate his recovery. "I couldn't even imagine going to work right now with the emotional stress that I'm under. I'm crying all day. I am barely sleeping. I wake up every night having nightmares." Taylor said she and her husband have many plans as a couple. They want to travel, see new places, try new things and spend quality time with each other. She said they also plan to own a house. "But all of those are now on hold," Taylor said, all because someone couldn't call an Uber. "We have so many plans for our future, and I just hope that this guy didn't take those away from us," she said. While there are lots of uncertainties about what their life will look like, Taylor said Reed, who she described as sunshine in human form, remains positive. "My husband is my biggest cheerleader, my biggest supporter. He does everything he can to make my life better always. And it's hard to know that this is happening to someone who is so good and pure," she said. "I'm just so grateful that he hasn't lost his sense of humor and his spirit and who he is throughout this, because he needs to hold on to who he is because it's going to be a long road to recovery." A GoFundMe page has been set up to help the family. My name is Aria. Please like, share, subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can be the first to be notified whenever we post. You won't regret it.